214 hours, December 25th, 2020. While most of the world was fast asleep after Christmas celebrations, the RQ-180 Sentinel, a shadow-like CIA aircraft, moved over Zulia, Venezuela, and wiped out infrastructure reportedly worth around $950 million, linked to the cartel of the Suns in a matter of moments. But the most unsettling part was not the blast itself. What truly shocked observers was the complete inability of the S-300VM, one of Russia's most respected air defense systems, to stop it. Despite intense efforts, the system was powerless. It could do nothing but watch as a single unmanned aircraft slipped into restricted airspace, struck its objective, and vanished without leaving a clear radar trace. So how could one drone overwhelm the most advanced air defense network in South America without giving away its position? The answer begins with a highly secretive combat scenario. Let's go back 120 minutes before H-hour to a covert staging area near Puerto Rico. There, the RQ-180 Sentinel, often nicknamed the Great White Bat by pilots, prepared for departure. This is one of the CIA's most secretive stealth drones, built with a tailless flying wing design and coated in advanced radar-absorbing materials. Few aircraft on Earth are believed capable of entering and surviving inside some of the world's most heavily defended, restricted airspaces. Instead of taking the usual route of flying high above radar coverage, it followed a far more dangerous plan, descending to just 15 feet above sea level. At that height, someone standing on a ship's deck could almost look directly at it. Why risk such a valuable asset? Because this is where the U.S. Navy's survival doctrine, known as MCON, the mission control, comes into play. The RQ-180 entered strict MCON. No radar, no radio, no active transmissions. It relied entirely on its inertial navigation system combined with preloaded terrain data, like a veteran moving through darkness without a flashlight because he already knows every inch of the ground. And here is where the strategy becomes brilliant. At only 15 feet above the ocean, the drone's reflected signal blended into the background noise of the waves, what radar specialists call sea clutter. On Venezuelan radar screens, it appeared no different from countless tiny flickers caused by the ocean itself. A true ghost, skimming beneath the awareness of some of the most expensive defense systems in the region, moving toward a $950 million objective without setting off alarms. As the RQ-180 moved silently across the sea, Venezuela's radar stations remained wrapped in the calm of Christmas night. Operators were not expecting anything unusual. Confidence in the layered S-300VM network was high, but the Americans were not relying on that confidence alone. To guarantee the drone's safety, they launched a diversion. At exactly 0200 hours, just 14 minutes before the designated strike time, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft operating from the carrier Ford began their mission from a standoff range roughly 100 to 120 nautical miles offshore. Their task was electronic deception. The Growlers stayed in a safe zone, transmitting carefully timed spoofing bursts lasting roughly 10 to 30 minutes. Now imagine being a Venezuelan radar operator that night. Fatigued, distracted, and suddenly your screen lights up with what appears to be 20 incoming targets from the south. The S-300 system takes the bait. It identifies what looks like a formation of FA-18S approaching for an attack. Instantly, the crews react exactly as intended. Radar arrays and interceptor systems are turned south to engage a threat that does not actually exist, leaving the Zulia coastal approach dangerously exposed. And while Venezuela's air defense network focused on digital phantoms in the south, the RQ-180 quietly slipped through the now open corridor in the north, entering the target zone undetected. The EA-18G Growlers then powered down their transmitters and turned back toward the USS Gerald R. Ford. Still, Venezuela was not an easy opponent. Its personnel had Russian training, and they were not likely to remain fooled for long. When two Su-30 Mk2s arrived at the coordinates of the supposed strike package in the south and found only empty sky, their commander immediately realized it had been a deception. He ordered a rapid turn and shut down the aircraft radar, which had been compromised by spoofing. Instead, he switched to the OLS-30I RST system, an infrared search and track sensor. This was a smart move. IRST does not emit signals. It searches for heat, The RQ-18 may have been nearly invisible to radar, but moving through the air still produced a thermal signature. The two Su-30s turned back toward Zulia in passive search mode, scanning the night for the faintest trace of heat. If they found it, the CIA's billion-dollar aircraft could be lost before its crew even realized it had been tracked. Meanwhile, above the objective, the RQ-180 was performing the most precise phase of its mission. It adjusted its angle, opened its ventral sensor bay, and began the PID, Positive Identification, procedure. Its high-resolution sensors scanned the corrugated metal roof of the warehouse, analyzing what lay beneath, counting cargo containers, and confirming the thermal signature of a submarine engine. Now the situation became a race against time. The RQ-180 had to keep a stable line of sight on the objective, while two Su-30s closed in at extreme speed, searching for the intruder. At the same time, offshore, confusion spread beneath the surface. Alarmed by the wave of false contacts heading their way, the drug-carrying submarines panicked and began moving out to sea. A 2,400-ton Guaycari-class patrol ship of the Venezuelan Navy surged through the water, activated its fire control radars, and trained its 76mm guns toward international waters in an apparent effort to shield the escaping vessels. The message was unmistakable: interfere, and there would be consequences. The escort ship pressed forward with the confidence of a crew convinced it held the advantage. Its captain likely believed the United States would hesitate to engage a naval vessel flying a sovereign flag, since doing so could trigger a direct international crisis. The plan was simple: force back U.S. helicopters, create space, and give the submarines a path to escape. But one detail had been overlooked. The United States did not need to open fire to force a retreat. On the horizon, the USS Gerald R. Ford began a silent show of force. This 100,000-ton carrier did not launch weapons. It simply altered course, bringing its bow directly toward the Venezuelan vessel, and then activated its AN/SPY-6 radar at full strength. To understand the effect, imagine threatening someone in a dark alley and then suddenly seeing the red dot of a precision sight appear between your eyes. No shouting, no impact. Just a silent signal that every next move has already been calculated. That was the atmosphere inside the Venezuelan ship's command center. Electronic warning systems lit up at once. The crew understood exactly what radar lock from a system like SPY-6 implied. The Aegis Combat Network had already measured trajectories, evaluated options, and was prepared to act immediately if ordered. No threats were spoken over the radio, none were necessary. The silence of that carrier was more intimidating than any broadcast warning. Under that pressure, the Venezuelan ship slowed, then drifted, no longer able to shield the submarines. The sea lane was now clear. With Venezuela's focus split between the confrontation offshore and the Su-30 search above, the skies over Zulia effectively belonged to the Americans. Then came the final stage. At 20,000 feet, the RQ-180 received authorization from command. The time was exactly 02:04 hours. The strike window had opened. From beneath the aircraft, two payloads separated and dropped into the darkness below. But this was not the kind of strike designed to shake an entire city with massive 2,000-pound bombs. No, this wasn't brute force. The Americans didn't use a hammer where precision was required. They used a scalpel. What was deployed wasn't a traditional explosive weapon. It was the AGM-114R9X, often nicknamed the Ninja Missile. Unlike conventional munitions, it carries no explosive payload. Instead, just moments before impact, 6 blades deploy outward, turning it into a hyper-precise kinetic tool designed to neutralize a target with minimal surrounding damage. 58, 57, 56. The countdown ticked away. High above, a Venezuelan Su-30 pilot suddenly noticed an unusual heat trace flicker across his display. But before his mind could fully process what he was seeing, the outcome was already decided. There was no immediate blast. The blades cut through the warehouse roof with surgical precision, striking exactly where the laser guidance had marked, the precursor chemical storage and the lithium battery stockpile used for submarines. And that's when the real chain reaction began. The facility itself became the source of destruction. A split second after impact, stored materials ignited in a cascading reaction. A strange mix of green and purple flames, typical of burning industrial compounds, surged upward, swallowing the entire shipyard. The heat was intense enough to warp steel structures and reduce what was estimated to be $950 million in assets into nothing within moments. And yet, this is where the precision stands out. While the warehouse was consumed, nearby buildings remained untouched. The University of Zulia, just a short distance away, stood intact. Even a church less than 200 meters from the site showed no visible damage. Moments later, the two Su-30S arrived overhead, but all they found was a smoldering aftermath. They were exactly 58 seconds too late. As for Washington, there was only silence. No official statements, no dramatic announcements, just quiet indifference, as if the event could be explained away as an unfortunate industrial accident caused by unsafe practices. And that is the calculated nature of this kind of operation. The objective wasn't spectacle, it was strategy. The goal was achieved, disrupting financial and logistical networks without escalating into a broader conflict. No large-scale engagement, no prolonged confrontation, just a precise strike that hit exactly where it mattered. Offshore, the USS Gerald R. Ford remained on station. Its radar continued to rotate steadily. It didn't need to take further action. Its presence alone was a message, a massive silent reminder of capability. This wasn't about overwhelming force, it was about control. The operation demonstrated something deeper. Modern power isn't defined by how loud or destructive you can be, but by how quietly and effectively you can achieve your objective. On that Christmas night, the S-300 air defense system, often seen as a symbol of strength, was reduced to a passive observer. And that may be the most important takeaway. Because in today's world, dominance isn't always about force, it's about precision, timing, and strategy. So the next time you hear bold claims about impenetrable airspace, remember this. Sometimes the most important move is the one no one ever sees coming.